No. I'm trying with different lighting function because this thing darkens out and lightens up a little bit. So hopefully we'll get this rectified. I'm going to try a couple experiments in between takes so things change a little bit. Bear with me. But when we're at a roll, I can't stop. So anyway, coming back to that definition, a just man then becomes one who is fair and impartial in his judging. Oh, no, no, brother. We're not supposed to, we hear all the time, to judge, but we make judgments all the time. What church we should go to, what's proper for us, sometimes what we wear, what we will not eat is a form of judgment. Things that condemn us also can be a judgment. Sometimes our thought processes and our ideas will bring a form of justice, but in the same aspect, we have to be fair and impartial. We're not trying to be self-righteous. We're trying to line up with God's righteousness. We can't measure by our own standards because in this world, things have gotten corrupt. And as corruption weeds in, so does a lot of other things. So we know we're imperfect, so we need a standard. In Romans 4, verse 25, it says, "Who was delivered for ourselves, for our offenses, and was raised up again for our justification." This has something to do in direct quote towards the actions that Yeshua did for us. So something in that process, put forward so that we could be justified. There was no other means that was in scriptural that could do it. In Job 13:18, he says himself, "Behold, now I have ordered my case, and I know I shall be justified." So Job here in the Old Testament is talking about something that a lot of preachers think is New Testament. But here again we've got an example where that type of theology, that type of ideology is wrong, erroneous, and should be repented from and turned away from. A little truth doesn't make it a whole truth. We have to go by the standards set by God, which is written out in Scripture. So when you find teachings like this, take a look at what the Bible really says about it. And then you understand, we stay away from those people. We don't have to condemn them. We don't have to stone them. We don't have to manipulate them. They will perish in their own time. Those thoughts and ideas have come and gone throughout centuries of time. But one truth and one truth alone has remained valid as a measurement throughout time. Now there is a move on by secular people to take that measurement and remove it from society. It's called secularism. We must do everything to oppose this type of view. We are not to be a secular people. We're a royal priesthood, a chosen generation. We are created for a purpose. A just man isn't secular. We don't remove the markers that are set for the boundaries by which has been for time. If it's wrong, it's wrong, and there's reason to be wrong. Interesting to note that more and more people who are in dietary type of things are coming across and saying kosher is actually the healthier way to live. People who adhere strictly to the kosher laws have longer, healthier, less chances of being sick in their lives than one who does not. Just a thought. But coming back to justification, we now read that Job has said this, but he also says in chapter 25, verse 4, "Then how then can a man be justified with God? Or how can he be made clean? That which is born of a woman." Now, this isn't an offense thing. To be born of a woman is pointing toward the flesh part of our lives. And Job poses a very valid question, which points toward Romans 4, verse 25. Because in our own self, there is nothing that we can do to be justified with God. God is ultimate and the epitome of what just is. And we are only a reflection. We can't measure to God's standard. So we need a new standard, a new marker. It's kind of like you see an athlete who's trained and trained and trained and trained. But you go out there and he learned how to do hurdles and he's setting them at 8 feet. But you are only a person who's just in high school. You don't set the standard at 8 feet. You have to go maybe 5 or 6 feet. But it's that practice over and over and over again that you become a better athlete. And so the same is in any other sport, the same is in our spiritual life. We practice it over and over and over again. It's not a matter of being legalistic or repetitious or what's other terms that we can use with this. It is simply a matter by which we understand that we need to work on our issues. A child learning to walk crawls or rolls in his first stages. Pretty soon he walks with a bit of a stumble and falls a lot. Now at 17 and 18 he may trip over his feet and wipe out. I've done it a million times and I'm 57. Does that make me a child that can't be? No. I simply, when as a child, my first reaction when I fell down was, Mommy, I want my mommy. I need my mommy. I gotta have my mommy. But as a man, I don't sit there whining for my mother simply because, one, my mother is dead and she's not going to come for me. And number two, I learned now that I'm responsible for my own silliness. I didn't tie my shoe properly. I didn't make sure that my foot was down safe before I advanced to my next step. And I wiped out or even tripped over my own two big feet and went kerplunk on the ground. Now sometimes that can still hurt, even as a man. But I don't sit there whining. I get back up, I brush myself up, I go, oh, was that ever silly? That was a dumb thing for me to do. But I keep on going. And the next time I come by there, I look for the object that might have been slippery. Maybe it was a patch of ice. Maybe it was a piece of broken concrete. And I watch my step when I get to that area to avoid it. If it was something on a personal level, I'm going to be more cautious. I'm going to make sure my shoes are tied up tight. I'm going to ensure that all the steps are taken so that I am able to progress, to go on. But I've learned from a mistake. And that's what's the difference between a child and a man. As we go down through Matthew chapter 12, verse 37, we get an interesting statement. It says here, I'm going to back up here, sorry. Before I get to Matthew 12:37, I want to read from Isaiah chapter 43, verse 26. And he says, put me in remembrance. Let us plead together, declare you or tell it, that you may be justified. So Isaiah 43:26 is telling us to bring it to your memory. Let's think about what we've done. To bring to memory isn't just try to remember what it was, but also to bring into your memory what it was that caused the circumstance that caused the fall, or caused the backsliding, or caused the error to come into place. Let us plead it together. Let's talk about it. Maybe talk to your congregation. Maybe talk to your elders. Maybe talk to the people. Request prayer. Ask for steps. Ask for guidance. What it is you're struggling with. People who have addictions know what this is talking about. To come to the counselors. To talk to the men of wisdom. This isn't so we can go and tell everybody about what's going on. It's a matter by which we bring our counsel before the children of God, our fellows and brothers and sisters who maybe even having the same fight, and maybe have a share with you a wisdom particle by which they found a way to be victorious in it. And I'll be back with part 3